You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your new favorite podcast for everything Bills and Sabres. What's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your favorite podcast for all things Bills and Sabres with the pals, Nigel, Tom, and Jake. Episode 10 is coming at you. Quick reminder, peeps, to follow our social medias. You can find us on Instagram and X at Let's Go Buff Pod. That's Buff with 2 F's. Let's say hello to the fellas. Tom, how we doing? Are we upright?
Upright. And for a guy who is a teacher and is not working on Indigenous Peoples Days, I should be slightly more cheery. But no, man, I'm good. I'm glad we're here. Had some time to decompress and kind of get that what I'm sure we'll talk a lot about out of the system a little bit. But yeah, Jake, what's up with you, bud?
I am great. This is the last podcast we'll record before the Sabres season opens that we'll get into later, but I'm pumped.
Shoo!
Yeah, buddy.
That is exciting. I'm pumped.
Yep, something to look forward to there. Yeah, it's been a tough couple of days here. Well, at least it's tough 24 hours now in Bills land, which we'll get into. But yeah, man, some exciting things to talk about for the Sabres as well, which we will get into. Be on the lookout for this week, folks. We're gonna throw 2 episodes at you. So this one is, like I said, episode 10, and episode 11 will be coming at you probably in a couple of days from now. But we're gonna get into a pretty in-depth Giants preview with a good friend of ours. So that'll be something to watch for this week.
Stay on your toes.
Yeah, stay on your toes, peeps. But I guess for right now, folks, I'm certainly ready to crack a beverage. How about you, gents?
Yes, please.
Here we go, buddies. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Delicious.
Yes, please.
Torpedo.
Yes, please.
What are you drinking, my guy?
I am dipping back into the Swiftwater well and drinking a Hefeweizen from them, a German-style wheat beer.
Nice,
Yum.
dude.
It's the season for that German style. Happy October.
Sure is,
Sure
right?
is.
Tom, what about you, buddy?
Speaking of seasons,
Yeah.
I am getting a little spooky, and I got a Harpoon UFO Journey to Planet
Ooh.
Pumpkin.
Tom,
Very good.
you
It's a
spooky
tradition.
guy, you.
I know.
Dude, I remember being in our 312 apartment in Ithaca, Tom, and absolutely just crushing the Southern Tier pumpkins. Like,
oh, dude,
yeah,
that's gonna. Oh, I gotta get one for one other pod. Those things are like, it's like just taking a pumpkin pie through a siphon.
Yeah, dude.
Just, like
I remember some tough mornings drinking way too many of those in that rundown apartment that was not architecturally sound.
No, not Not at all.
Well, boys, I've got a nice beverage here from Industrial Arts Brewing Company. I've got the Torque Wrench here. It's a hazy double IPA. It says sticky and tropical, which I don't know if there's a better way to describe me personally. So, but yeah, this should get me cruising pretty nice here. It's an 8.2 ABV. So
there you go.
So maybe I'll get going on a nice rant here at some point.
I was looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I guess let's get into our Bills recap here. I'll start. What the fuck? That absolutely sucked, dude. That was man, what a shitty start to the Sunday.
Yeah.
I just, oh man, there's like so many things that I guess you can talk about, and I just there's a lot of really 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 big negative things that came out that have absolutely nothing to do with the record or that the Bills have now or the outcome of that game, but just, man, I'm so tired of watching this team drop games to lesser opponents, dude. Like you can set your watch to it. It's fall when the leaves are changing and it starts to get a little bit colder, and the Bills lose to somebody they freaking shouldn't.
Yeah,
Sick of it, dude.
I don't know what The Jaguars, like they have, I don't know what it is. I don't understand. It's yeah, not the way I wanted to start my Sunday. I was all excited. 9:30 football. Let's
Oh my
go. Has
God, dude, I know.
football. Like, let's go. Then watch the rest of the slate and feel happy and good about what's going on. And I think there's not much you could have added that would have made that game a worse outcome for a Bills trip to London and back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's much. I really don't.
No. Jake, did you have any thoughts that you wanted to share about the game there off the top of your head?
I guess just like letting the Jaguars escape situations where we should have had them pinned. I can't count the number of times where they were on their 10 or less yard line on third and long, and somehow, some way, Calvin Ridley's open and they get the first down.
Like,
I can tell you how.
Anytime.
All right, we're just gonna go there. No, it's Kyer Elam. That's how. We're gonna be a little disorganized tonight, folks. No, it's Kyer Elam, this first round draft pick who is supposed to be a stud, who is supposed to be able to be a lockdown corner. He played man coverage like really well in college. That's what he's known for, and he was put in that situation. McDermott had him go in and was playing man, his strength. And this guy, like, he wasn't in the same zip code as Calvin Ridley. He wasn't close. He wasn't close. I don't even know where to start. He was the reason why they converted all those different important situational plays, and he just was a liability. Eventually, he got replaced by a practice squad Jamarcus Ingram. No, this is no shakes against Jamarcus Ingram. None at all. But this is a first round, top 25 pick. Second year, not his first year, right? He's a second year player and he needs to come in and lock that down, especially when we go down a player. He knew all week he was going to be playing. He knew all week he was going to be there. And that's a problem. I am not impressed.
Yeah, dude, it is concerning, and hand up, dude, because a lot of people did say this, that they didn't think he had it, man. And I was one of those people that vouched for him. Like, listen, man, if you go back to that Miami game last year in the playoffs, I'm not sure we win that game without some of the plays that Kyer Elam makes.
But that's not the same Kyer Elam I've seen.
It's
I don't understand.
But that's the thing that sucks, man, is because it looks like, I mean, that Kyer Elam exists. Like, there's a world where he's there. So I'm just trying to figure out why the epic regression here. Can you hang it on a sophomore slump? Is it still like, do you still try and hold on to this guy and think that he can turn it around? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, man. When we made this pick, I was banging the table for Creed Humphrey. And I'm starting to look like I really, really, really knew what I was talking about there, which, I mean, it wasn't a blind take on my end, but it looked like, I mean, Creed Humphrey looks absolutely sick for the Chiefs. All the goddamn
He's a top 3 center in the league. He's a top 3 center and he's in his second year and he's going to be for the next 10.
Yeah.
Like that was absolutely a drop by Brandon Beane and not the pick. This kid right now is on my blacklist and he's got a big hole to dig out for me.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should talk about maybe Jake, did you want to add anything to that?
No. I agree.
I guess maybe what we can do here is talk about why he has to be in there. And obviously we talked about Trey White. The Christian Benford not playing yesterday, dude, that to me was a surprise.
I agree.
I was under the impression that he was going to go. For me, man, so obviously Kyer Elam can't start, right? Like, he showed that. Like,
Can't. Yeah,
so
you cannot.
we are at this point, and this is assuming Benford plays this coming Sunday night. Assuming he plays, we are still one injury away to either Benford or Dane Jackson from Kyer Elam playing meaningful snaps for this football team. Yeah. So, Jake, I'll just get your opinion, because I think this is, you don't have to be a football guru to just, have an opinion on this one. If you're the GM and you know that you're one injury away from Kyer Elam playing meaningful snaps, how aggressive are you being to improve the depth at that position, right? Are you riding with the guys you have, or are you trying to be a little bit more aggressive and trying to acquire somebody?
I mean, I guess aggressive because like you guys said, he didn't look good to you guys. He didn't look good to me, someone that doesn't really know what they're talking about. But you could see the gaps and the misplays that he had. So I mean, I would answer and say aggressively. I just don't know how easy it is to go out and find a serviceable cornerback. Like, they're not giving him away, right?
No,
especially
they're not.
In week 5, like almost every team is still hanging on to the hopes of winning with their roster, right? So
right.
I don't know. I mean, it's unfortunate that a practice squad guy comes up and like you said, nothing against Jamarcus Ingram, but a first round draft pick playing cornerback in his second year shouldn't be replaced by somebody that is almost by definition a replaceable player that landed on a practice squad to start the year, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't bode well. No.
And my biggest issue is that if we had just the Trey White injury and that was it. Just for folks, I don't know if everybody's all caught up. He is out with an Achilles. He's getting surgery done, most likely out for the year. I don't think we're going to see him for the rest of the year. I don't know if we actually had that news last week. But not only do we have Trey White out in the secondary, we have Matt Milano injury this past game and Daquan Jones injury. The three best players at all three levels out. It's not just one injury. I now have concerns across the board.
And
Yeah, dude.
that's what hurts the most, right? Like the loss is what it is. It sucks losing to a Jacksonville team, not a bad team by any means, but the injuries hurt more.
Yes.
You take the loss, you take your lumps. It happens in the NFL, but the injuries for the rest of the year are just tough to stomach.
Yep. So and both players at this point confirmed by Brandon Bean will require surgery. He has not yet gone as far as to label them both out for the season. I would think best case scenario, both guys like Milano's probably if he's able to come back, and this is obviously a huge if. Best case scenario probably January, like for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Daquan Jones probably right around the same, maybe a hair earlier, if you want to be optimistic. But yeah, dude, that is. And at the time, I could push back a hair and say that Ed Oliver is probably the best player on that defensive line right now. But
Sure,
Daquan Jones is right there playing the best ball that we've seen him play.
So
as a Buffalo
good.
Bill, at least.
It's frustrating and I can't imagine being on the team. Me being a fan, the air was just sucked out of the room for me.
Yep.
I can't imagine being in that locker room.
So what does that mean going forward then? So at this point, right? I mean, we're down a lot of starters. Von Miller still is not full systems go. Currently also down Greg Rousseau. He didn't play. Down Daquan Jones. Down Matt Milano. Down Christian Benford. Down Trey White. That's 6 starters. That's more than half of your starting unit. So,
oh man, Sean's got his work cut out for him, dude. He's got his work cut out for him.
Now, I want to talk about Mr. Sean McDermott in a minute here, but real quick, Tom. What is the starting? Let's say none of these guys come back for next week, right?
Yep.
Same 6 guys are injured.
Okay.
Let's go down and what's our starting? What's the starting lineup? So let's start with
so let's start D-line. So it's going to be Floyd and Epinesa, Epinesa, we're going to get into a moment. That guy played his brains out. So happy for him. Love to see it. We'll get to him in a bit because I want to stay in my sadness cloud. So those two will be edge. I think it's going to be Puna and Jordan Phillips. We're going to really see what this Puna Ford signing is all about because he has not been active all year. This is his chance to come in and prove, okay, he is a significant player and a big piece on this line. And then I think it's going to be Dorian Williams and Terrell Bernard in the middle of that defense. I really do. Like, let's see it. Let's go see what this toolsy, athletic, 3rd round pick rookie and Dorian Williams can do. Let's let him go play ball.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen there. Oh man, I really don't. I think they're probably going to put in Dotson. Unfortunately,
I hope that. I
hope
hope that.
as well.
We need upside at this point, right? We need the upside. We cannot play for the floor.
And you saw both guys play too. Dorian Williams, I thought, played pretty well. He was flying around making some decent plays. Dotson also made some nice plays. It could be a by committee situation. I don't know. Thankfully, you still got Hyde and Poyer back there. That's a huge piece for the communication.
That is huge.
Defense.
Yes. Yes.
Dane Jackson, he looked great. I thought overall.
Yeah.
So many great open field tackles. Thought he played really well. And then obviously we just have to say our prayers that Christian Benford can play because if Kyer Elam is going to go, I mean,
oh Lord help me. We're watching it in person, so Nigel, you're gonna have to shield my eyes, pal.
Yeah,
We're gonna be in that stadium for Sunday Night Football against the Giants this week. You're gonna have to I'm gonna go put myself in over Kyer Elam.
I got to get into some coaching gripes that I have here. And then
please do.
I'm gonna take over here, but if you guys want to hop in, obviously just say so. I'm getting really sick and tired of watching Sam Laporta look this good and watching Dalton Kincaid look this useless. I don't think Dalton Kincaid's doing anything wrong. I think the usage so far is super underwhelming for a guy like this and what he can do for a defense. And I'm watching Sam Laporta absolutely ball out for that Detroit offense, and it's making me absolutely nauseous. I don't know what the answer is there. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I think, the answer is just automatically start throwing him up the seam nonstop, but I am absolutely sick and tired of it. I don't know why these tight ends aren't doing more. They're both too good. I don't
I'm going to tell you
understand.
why. It's Dorsey not queuing up these easy buttons for Josh Allen. He needs to just put them in some crossers across the middle of the field, put them in conflict with defensemen who aren't sized the same way they are. Like, he needs to start just. I don't get it. It's in my big frustration is game 1 against the Jets. Dorsey looked like a kid who's got his lunch stolen. Then game 2 through 4, he looked like a genius. He looked so great. It was awesome. And now game 5 against the Jaguars, he looked like he just, pooped his pants and then smeared it all over his playbook and decided to call from there. Like, I don't understand the difference. I don't, because Josh Allen played really well. Right?
Do you think
right? Is that the podcast thing right there? Is that pooped his pants on the playbook? That's it.
That got me pretty good.
That's it.
Ken was just a little jet lagged.
Okay. Should we get into that? Should we get into that?
Well, I think so because it is. I'm sure, despite the injuries, and I know they're playing on they like took away the grass field and brought the turf out for the game at Tottenham Spurs Stadium, but
because that's better, right, Jake? That's a healthy thing to do.
It's got to be better. It's artificial, so it's bouncier and springier for the players.
We don't play on the same field as football players, as European football players. We have better fields.
But don't you guys think that it is good experience for the players to be put in a little adversity, go across the pond, play at a different time, and just get that experience?
No, Jake, I don't think that. I can't even take you seriously. Bro, oh my God. If there's ever a way, I don't know how it'll ever happen. Roger Goodell, I hope you hear this. And I hope you listen, and I hope you listen well. You are the most appalling, greedy piece of shit I have ever seen in my entire life, dude. As if you don't have enough goddamn millions, dude. You feel the need. And now look, I am gonna blame this travel. And what I'm not gonna do is totally excuse the players and Ken Dorsey and Sean McDermott, who I got a gripe with him too. I'm not gonna pin it on the refs, dude. But oh my God, these are elite, pristine, top of the line, like throw a piece of sand in the mechanism and the mechanism falls apart like finely tuned athletes, man. And you want them to travel to Europe and play a football game against a team that has already been there for over a week, dude. I am so goddamn sick of this playing in London bullshit, dude. Because like there's a clip going around right now anyway of Goodell being like, yeah, it's gonna be a great experiment. Does it end up being an advantage for the team that's been there, or is it an advantage for the team that just got there?
How can we not know ahead of time?
Like,
right?
Dude,
like,
are you
we have to fucking know.
Like,
yes.
like, Roger, you know how small a window is for a team to win a championship, and you're gonna fuck with ours because you need somebody to be a lab rat? Like, dude, you can't do that with Arizona or somebody that doesn't fucking matter. Like, sorry, Arizona, but you don't. You look terrible every week. I don't like, dude. It's such a money pit. It's just him being a greedy piece of shit, and that is what is the problem with the league, dude. Like, we talk about player safety and player wellness and yada yada yada, and all it is it's just all about the money, dude. They don't give a shit about anybody's knees or limbs. Take out the grass, put on the turf. Goodell doesn't care. I am like, because look at the second half of that game, dude. The second half of that game, we beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But we just couldn't. Our head was so
couldn't get there.
Stuck on the plane still for the first half of the game.
Travis Etienne, starting running back for the Jaguars, is quoted today or earlier this week saying, "Oh my gosh, we felt so good. We felt so good, and we were seeing them feel like we felt last week. When
Yes.
when Jaguars played Atlanta in London and then stayed the extra week, he's like, "Oh my gosh, we had the energy, we had the juice, and they didn't, and we saw that in them." Like that
Yep.
should be the example number one. That should be example number one of this trial, like for why this is a dumb idea.
Now you watch, dude. I bet this won't be a thing going forward.
No, I bet it will.
No. I bet you won't see teams. You won't see a situation where one team's been there for a week already.
Well, you know what? Then that freaking sucks because I'm glad we were the only ones who ever experienced that.
Well, you know what, dude? That seems to be a lot of the way
We're
things
from
are going to
Buffalo,
go.
right? That's what
exactly.
we're at.
Yep.
Well, at least the Bills only lost a home game to travel 3,500 miles across an ocean.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that shit.
Hey, shout out Bills Mafia who were there. We could hear you on the broadcast, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
You were
sick.
huge. That was pretty sick to hear you guys singing the shout song and making noise. Like that was cool. But I can't imagine being there.
I gotta have one more gripe here, and it's with Sean McDermott, dude. My Lord Almighty, how many times can you blitz, watch the blitz not be successful, and decide to keep blitzing, dude? There was that play at the end of the game where it was 3rd and 4, I want to say, and he's at this point he's blitzed like 5 of the last 7 third downs, something like that. It's been unsuccessful every time. Lawrence has attacked the blitz and found an open guy. And I'm like, okay, dude, just drop 7. Don't blitz. Just drop 7 and let your front 4 get there. What does he do? He blitzes. And what does this blitzing scheme do? Isolates Micah freaking Hyde against Calvin Ridley one-on-one at one of the most crucial points of the entire game. Like, dude, you can't it's not like the run game where establishing it really opens up a lot of things in your playbook, dude. Stop with the blitz when it's not working. A guy like Trevor Lawrence is going to exploit it and make you continue to pay like he did all afternoon. I couldn't understand it for the life of me, dude. It was driving me crazy.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. It just kept going. It kept happening.
It never stopped. I didn't understand. I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, eventually he's going to stop. And he keeps going. And I'm like, okay, he's got to stop this drive, right? And what does he do? Blitzes on 3rd and 3, and it's immediately a conversion for 3rd and 8 because Trevor Lawrence is smart and threw it right at the blitz.
Right.
I'm like, my God, Sean.
Yeah. And then, you know what? My last gripe is going to be with this Buffalo Bills offense. We've already kind of touched on it. And, I mean, Josh Allen, you're going to look at the stat sheet. He looked like he had a fine game. But you cannot start a game in the first half with 4 punts. Then come out for the second half and start with 2 punts and expect to win a game. I don't understand. I mean, knock on wood, the offense came out pretty clean. Like, they didn't have many injuries. They weren't banged up. It was all on the defensive side. Like, how are we supposed to expect this defense to hold on for their dear lives? And we'll kind of give some flowers in a little bit here because I do think they played really well considering the circumstances. It wasn't the defense who lost this game. It was the offense waiting until the last 4 minutes to come alive and until they can actually have a pulse and actually put some points on the board.
Correct. Yep, I agree with that wholeheartedly, Tom. All right, well, let's get into some of those flowers here.
I feel lighter, actually.
Yeah, and it's kind of cathartic to get on here and just bitch with you guys. We kind of touched on it, but Josh did. I mean, if you look at his stat line, it did ultimately look pretty good. Hard to put a lot on him. It was just too slow. It just took too long to get going.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that's really tough from this game was the running game was non-existent.
They were so physical against Miami last week, and then it looked like they were I don't know, made of tissue paper.
It was bad. It was bad. No two ways about it.
Josh was the leading rusher with 14 yards. I know he's a good rusher, but that's a problem.
Yeah. Yikes. AJ Epinesa, man, he talk about a guy who stepped up when he was needed. What do you have? 3 to 4 pass deflections right at the line of scrimmage.
He's got
the
that
fly swatter working.
Yeah, dude. He had some really big plays yesterday that led to the Bills getting the ball back on offense. Did he have any sacks? I think he had 1. I want to say.
I'll go pull the stat sheet. I'll do a little producing here. I'll let you guys keep talking. I'll find his stat sheet.
Yeah, so he was huge, man. It's nice to see him come up like that in a big moment where you don't have a Greg Rousseau, Von Miller's on a pitch count. Yeah, dude, just really good to see him have that kind of game for sure. And then Diggy continuing to be wide receiver 1. I mean, again, you can't ask for much more than him. What you can ask for is a little bit more contribution from everybody else. I mean, Gabe Davis still a nice day yesterday. Can't knock him. But I think like Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs account for like 96% of the touchdowns so far from this team. It would be nice to see some other guys get in the end zone a little bit. Trent Sherfield, Dalton Kincaid. Nice to see James Cook get a couple more tuds in there. So I don't know, Jake. Any thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, just spread the wealth around.
Yeah.
I agree. I thought Gabe Davis had a good game. One drop that was noticeable that I thought he probably should have had, but
yep, I know exactly which one you're talking about too.
That
But
drop
to be
didn't
honest,
decide the
like
game.
that's like a second of the year, and last year he looked like he had some real dropsies, right? Like, so
Nope, he's been all
I
right with
think
that. You're right.
like he would, and I mean, we had that one touchdown drive, the second touchdown we scored. He caught it. He made a great catch. Boom, had a reset. Offensive pass interference. Play it again. He catches again, and another really tough catch. Like he came in and he played.
Yeah,
he was good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then the defense, dude. I mean, all those injuries. They still have really had some great moments, dude. I mean, you hold a team that's got some weapons there. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is an elite quarterback, dude. Calvin Ridley, Travis Etienne has some speed. Evan Ingram's no slouch at tight end. You hold that team to 25 points, dude, losing, down 6 starters. I think you got to give those guys some flowers, man. I think that's all you can ask from that group.
Especially when our offense is averaging like 32 points a game. Like,
and then they just disappear.
disappear. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's just, this is the Bills. Bills are Billsin. Bills are Bills.
All right, boys. Well, any other football things we want to touch on before we switch gears a little bit here?
No. I just sometimes wonder why we ride this freaking roller coaster. But we do, because we're here and we're masochistic and a little sick in the head. I say it all the
time, dude. If there was one thing that I could change about myself, I desperately wish I didn't like sports. 100%. I would trade all this away if I could. I can't stand it. It causes me so much pain. Yeah, but here I am all the same.
You're talking to the right people.
Yeah, seriously.
Right? Yeah, here we are. So, well, anyway, we'll like we said, Nigel said earlier, we will get to a Bills Giants preview, but later on, where you have a fun little surprise for you all with a little crossover episode.
Yeah.
But I got some 2 boys across the way here from me who are getting ready for their basically Christmas Eve and the start of the Sabres season. So Jake, get us going here, buddy. What are we excited about? Where are we looking? What are we looking at? Let's get going, bud.
Yeah, let's get going. Well, they kick off their season on Thursday, October 12th against the Rangers at home. So excited for that. Final rosters got set last night at 5 p.m. So we now have full clarity on how wrong or right we were in our little podcast prediction.
Right. We're going right.
Well, yeah, how right we were. So yeah, let's get into that first. Nigel, any surprises that you saw that you wanted to talk about?
Honestly, not really, dude. I think the biggest surprises for me are the fact that at this time, Zach Benson made the team, bro. I mean, and that is like, it's tough, man, because we've talked about it a little bit. Well, first of all, I'm going to backtrack here. This is really impressive of this kid, right? The kid is 18 years old. He wasn't gifted the spot by any means. Maybe he had a little bit of help with the Matt Savoy injury, but he still had guys like Lucas Rusek, Brandon Byro, Brett Murray, right? Like Yuri Kulik, right? Like legit players in Rochester that he had to beat out for this spot. And goddamn, dude, the kid flat out did it. So it's going to be real exciting to watch him. He's going to make his NHL debut at 18 years old, right after being drafted, which is pretty freaking sick. So that's the biggest surprise, honestly, for me.
Yeah.
If
you said that before training camp, I think it would be a surprise. But given how he played, I'm not surprised by it anymore. I mean, he just continued to prove why he should be here still.
Dude, there's one rookie that had more points than him in this preseason, and his name is Connor Bedard. So that's pretty decent company to be in. He had more preseason points his rookie preseason than Jack Eichel did. So I mean, the kid right now, dude, looking like he could be a contributor early on here. It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
How often does that happen across the league? That like a rookie player makes the team and makes a contribution?
I think the big thing here, the really notable thing is how often does the 12th overall pick, right, Jake?
12th or 13th, yeah,
Yeah, something
yeah.
like that.
I think 13th. 12 teams passed on him before Buffalo got there.
How often does that player make the league right out of the bat, dude? I would say rarely to never.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rare.
It's-
He's young
Sweet.
for 18. His 19th birthday occurs after the season ends.
Yeah,
for perspective.
Oh my God, he's a little
Yeah,
baby
dude.
boy.
Yeah,
Little baby boy.
he's just a nugget, dude.
All right, Zach, go to bed, buddy.
Yeah,
You're
right.
past your bedtime.
And then at this point, dude, technically Matt Savoy is also on the team. He's currently listed as injured. So I don't know really what they're going to do for him. I think at this point they're still waiting to hear the decision on if he can be exempt from the rules that would not allow him to stay in Rochester. They might try and do a conditioning stint with him in Rochester to keep him there for a little longer.
Yep.
I'm not really sure what's going to happen with him, but as of right now, he is also on the team. He has not been sent back to juniors.
Yeah, I think it sounds like he'll start the year on IR, so he'll be ineligible for the first 7 days, which is, I think, the first 3 games that they'll play. You don't know what happens there. He with any player could get injured, and he comes back and takes their spot. And then I think if he does come back, I think they're able to send him on a conditioning stint for 2 weeks in the AHL to get some games in.
Okay, that would be nice. I would like to see that.
Yeah, me too. I'd love it if he sticks with the team, and even if he doesn't, I'd love to see him not have to go back to juniors. That would be best case scenario.
I really hope they can find a way to let him be exempt from that whole thing, because what a waste to send him back down to juniors at this point. That whole thing's a stinker.
So the other surprise for me from the final roster, well, and maybe it's not a surprise given who they are and how the teams operated at the end of last year, but we have 3 goalies on this roster, and I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct that this is the only team in the NHL carrying 3 goalies at the moment. So that's a bit of a hairy situation, but I think there's pluses and minuses from it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big minus is you have to send a guy like Riley Stillman back down. You know, you can't keep him on the team as the 8th defenseman. So I don't love that. I think, Jake, and shout out you, because you were the one that kind of mentioned this to me and I shot it down, but I think this is exactly what happened. I think this decision is being made because at this point they just don't super know. They don't know what to expect from Devin Levi in his rookie season or his first full professional season. None of the backups really ran away with the job. Yeah, Comrie had the better preseason, but UPL probably looked better towards the end of last season. So I think at this point they're just doing the thing to keep as many options as they can on the table as far as the goalie situation, which on one hand can be smart, but does take an important roster spot away, which I don't like. But
it does, yeah. I'm sure they were a bit scared that either Comrie or UPL would not clear waivers, and they had a better chance with Stillman, who put him through on a day where there's a lot of waiver activity. There's many more defensemen going through waivers than there are goalies, so that could have played into the decision making there.
Yeah.
So how this 3 goalie situation? What is the way that this comes out looking good that you guys decide this was a good decision? How does that look? If we were halfway through the season, how does this look like? Okay, they made the right decision.
Do you know what that looks like for you right at the top of your head, Jake?
I mean, I don't know if there's like a certain black and white scenario where I say it's good. The reason I think it's a good thing is because, like Nigel said, there are a lot of unknowns. We don't know how Devin Levi will play as the 1A goalie on an NHL team throughout the course of a season. And we know how Eric Comrie and UPL have looked in the 1B role, if you will. And I think there's a lot of question marks there with their games. So it allows flexibility. You can ride the hot hand. You can see who's playing well, start them, and get guys more rest. I think there's an opportunity there for a lot more coaching and development with some of these goalies. All of them are very young or fairly young goalies. So, rotating in for who has the hot hand. I think that's what would be a success for me. To, in a long-winded way, to answer your question, is who's playing well, start them, and see what happens. I mean, like I've said before, they play fire wagon hockey. There's going to be a ton of shots on their goalies, so let them rest when they have the opportunity to.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jake pretty much hit that on the head, dude. If I was going to put a statistical goal on the whole thing, it would be just have every goalie be above 900 in terms of a save percentage, right?
Yeah.
Let's try and stay
Okay.
out of the eights. That's an
League
ugly,
average.
yeah,
It's all I want.
it's an ugly place to be if you're in the eights as a goaltender. So, we'll see what it looks like, man. I'm curious. Maybe it ends up being the right thing. Here's the good thing, man. In the last couple of seasons, this coaching staff and general manager situation have done very little to make me think that it's a bad idea. So I have very little reason not to trust them at this time. So I'm gonna ride with it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's the big one. And then the last really big, not even big, but when we projected rosters, I wanted to keep Riley Stillman and send Jacob Bryson walking. Don Granato and Kevin Adams felt differently. Don in his most recent interview was, quoted saying what a great camp he thought Bryson had. Didn't do anything for me. I think Bryson's a bit of a wimp. I like Stillman's game a lot more. Bryson has a little more offensive upside, but I don't know, man. For me, I just like Stillman's game more as the seventh defenseman on the team. But there's a reason I don't get paid to do the job. So that's the last thing, I guess.
I agree, and I will absolutely scream if Bryson is on one of the three pairs for Thursday night.
I don't think he will be.
I hope not. Yeah, he belongs as the seventh D. I'm fine with that, but he shouldn't be playing more than 40 games for Buffalo this year.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Well, speaking of those 7D men, we got one guy we really got to talk about, and maybe I can convince him to send me 10 grand, because that could solve most of my problems in my life right now. But Rasmus Dahlin inked long term, baby, 8 years, $88 million fully guaranteed, $11 million AAV. The leader of the defense is here to stay. I don't know about you, Jake. For me, it's a hair richer than I was hoping. I was hoping it would come in a little bit closer to 10. But, with the salary cap getting projected to go up in the next couple of years, this guy, possibly starting to be more consistently in the conversation for Norris Trophy winner. I think you got to do whatever you got to do to get that guy signed. And if 11 million is what gets it done, dude, then I continue to sleep like a baby. How about you, bud?
Same. Yeah, I totally agree with you. In a perfect world, would I see it closer to 10? Sure, but I am not willing to sacrifice him not signing for that less than $1 million increase.
Exactly.
So this, first of all, the contract does not kick in for this season. It kicks in for the following season. So, like you said, that's when the caps will hopefully, as it's been predicted, will start to rise a couple million a year more than it has. So yeah, as of today, this would make him tied for second for highest paid defenseman in the league. And given his play, especially if he continues where he is or continues to improve, it's worth every penny. 100%.
I agree as well.
He's the pulse of the team. I think he's probably going to be your next captain when Okposo hangs him up. It's worth every cent for me. Yeah.
Yep, I agree with you. He's also one of the few guys on the team that has a really, really, really consistent physical edge to his game.
Yeah.
Which I think is huge, which, he's developed over the last several years.
He's mean.
Yeah, he is. He's a prick to play against. So, yeah, man, I absolutely, there was never a doubt in my mind this was going to get done. You do what it takes to get this deal done. And I'm sure Kevin probably wanted it to be closer to 10, but for all the reasons we just mentioned, you sign the $11 million deal and you run. So glad to see that get done. Jake, any thoughts on who the next guy is going to be to sign an extension?
Well, Owen Power comes to mind.
That's
I know they did some
well.
negotiating over the summer, so I'd like to see that get done, but not necessary. He's an RFA. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Kevin Adams has done 4 long-term contracts since he took over. Thompson, Cousins, Samuelson, and now Dahlin. So all 4 of them, I would say, are phenomenal contracts, very team friendly, and
sure.
so I'm super excited about what he's doing and how he's structuring the team.
Yeah, man. Me too, dude. Awesome.
So,
all right, well, Jake, we'll do we're going to just real briefly touch on the first couple games that the Sabres are going to play this season. Talk about the matchup, things that maybe make us a little nervous, things we like, stuff like that. And then we're going to all three of us, make a couple bold predictions for the Sabres season. Talk about one player oriented thing, and then maybe one sort of team oriented thing. So let's start with the Sabres' first game of the season, which will be this Thursday, October 12th, at home against the New York Rangers. And boy, oh boy, Jake, we talked about this very briefly. This team definitely scares me, dude. I don't know about you, but if you just talk about that center depth all alone, you got Zibanejad, you got Philip Hedl, Nick Bonino, Vincent Trocheck, dude. That's a couple real nasty guys that have to go against on that center line there. Barclay Goodrow. So talk to me. Give me some thoughts that you have about this Rangers lineup going against the Sabres on Thursday night.
Yeah, they're a deep team. They're sound pretty much in every position. I think led by their captain, or sorry, not by the captain. Led by Adam Fox. He's a monster from the blue line, and you can't discount Artemi Panarin. I think they have high end talent that can break a game open. I think they, with a lot of their players, they can be a bit streaky. They can be shut down. I wouldn't say Panarin. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He's a lights out player, but he can be shut down. He can be invisible in games if you can contain him. I think some of their younger players do not scare me at all. I think about Capo Caco has struggled.
Yep.
Alexi Lafreniere, first overall pick, has looked like dog water, game in and game out.
As the kids say.
Yes, as the kids say, yeah. So I think they have good depth. I think they have really good high end talent. Their power play scares me a lot with Chris Kreider, and the Buffalo's weakness at the penalty killing. So
yeah,
I think those are things to look out for. Play a disciplined game where you keep him to the outside, try to limit chances that Panarin throws cross ice, and we haven't brought up their most important player yet, but I think we should.
Yeah.
Igor Shesterkin.
I was gonna.
He's scary, right?
You beat me
Who,
to
who
it.
are you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna have. I just typed the name in the chat, and I was gonna have Tom pronounce the name. That was gonna be my game that I played.
I think Jake did a great job. Nice work, Jake. You sound good, buddy.
Yeah, dude, Igor Shesterkin, man, he's the biggest problem, right? I mean, now dude, I'll throw you a couple names at you here, Jake. Is there a better top four in terms of defensemen in the league? Adam Fox, Jacob Trouba, Keandre Miller, Mats Lindgren, Ryan Lindgren.
They're up there. Carolina comes to mind.
Yeah, that's another really, really, really good decor. But
their top four doesn't even include Dmitry Orlov.
and Jacob Trouba, dude, like that guy just lives to take heads off. Right?
He does, yeah. He plays on the edge.
He's a scary guy. Ryan Lindgren is no joke, and Keandre Miller, I think, is an underrated defenseman in the league, man. So they're deep, like you said, but yeah, I don't know, man. Is this a team, Jake, for you that you think they attack more with speed or with a physical game?
That's a good question. I mean, I think they do have some speedy players, but I think they succeed more in the cycle and off the rush. So I wouldn't say they use speed to their advantage. I don't know if I would describe any of their players as particularly speed demons. Like Philip Hedl, I think has a motor, but like Chris Kreider, I don't think he's not like the fastest forward out there. I think they're just very positionally sound and know to get to those dirty areas to ship pucks in.
I don't think Chris Kreider is the 10th fastest player on the Sabres.
I agree. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the team is a problem. Make no mistake. They're a playoff contender, a Stanley Cup contender for sure. So
just Shesterkin alone puts them there for sure.
Yeah.
Can you solve him? I think that's what the game comes down to from Buffalo's end.
For sure.
So before we go on to the next game, it's game one. I got to ask, what are we hoping to see? Win or loss? Is there something you can come out of seeing? Okay, game one of the season. What do you want the Sabres to look like? And what are things you need to be seeing to feel good going forward?
Biggest thing for me, dude, is keeping up the offensive intensity that they had last year while also finding a way to be more defensively sound this year. You can't let poor Devin Levi get shelled for 45 shots every single game in his first year. The poor kid is going to go home with his tail between his legs, not wanting to play hockey anymore. So you have to find a way, because I mean the Sabres last year, I believe, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, like a top 3 goals for team in the league. Um, but way too high in goals against. So obviously the trick is, and every team tries to figure this out, but you figured out half the equation, which is more than a lot of teams can say. So you just have to find a way to be a little bit more defensively sound. Jake, go ahead.
Yeah, what a lot of rebuilding teams struggle with. So a lot of, if you're a rebuilding team, you want to be able to figure out the offense. You need high end offensive players that can put the puck in the net and display that. And what happens on defense, to hell with it. It doesn't matter. Be able to score. Doesn't matter how many goals you give up. When you are ready to make that turn away from rebuilding and be a playoff contender, you need to learn how to tighten up defensively and still not lose that offensive output. And so that's where I think Buffalo is. So, like Nigel said, limit the defensive breakdowns that have happened. Every team has defensive breakdowns. They're going to happen. But don't be the number one team in the NHL at giving up breakaways and odd man rushes like Buffalo was last year. Try to limit that. Try to play a little bit more defensive, but keep that blistering pace in the offensive zone and attack off the rush like they do. And I think you have a successful game plan there.
Yep. That's the big one for me.
Cool.
For sure.
All right. Go Sabres.
Touch on them real quick, Jake. The Islanders, they scare me a whole lot less than the Rangers. A couple big names here to keep in mind. Matt Barzal, he's still an insanely good player. But as I go down the list, man, I see a lot of guys that are aging pretty significantly.
Or aged.
Or aged, yeah. And then another team where, honestly, the biggest issue for me, dude, probably the goaltending.
Yep.
Sorokin is a problem. Really started to come on strong last year. But yeah, dude, look again, like Scott Mayfield, not a young guy, 30, not terrible.
No, but like Cal Clutterbuck,
Yeah,
Matt
dude.
Martin,
Yeah.
Kyle Palmieri. Can you believe Kyle Palmieri is still in the league?
I know, dude. Anders Lee, 33. Matt Martin,
Yeah.
34. Kyle Palmieri, 32. Brock Nelson, 31. Casey Cizikas, 32. Like these guys are up there, man. Now that means
Nigel, Jake, and Tom, 30.
yeah, dude, exactly. But you start to get to a point where like these guys, yeah, their hockey IQ is really good. But at what point does the lack of athleticism and youth on the team start to rear its ugly head? I mean,
Yeah.
your youngest guy that's got a pulse is Barzal, and he's 26, which is not old or young by any means, but he's in his prime. Outside of that, dude, I mean,
So Barzal definitely scares me. He's a dynamic
he's
playmaker,
sick, dude.
and what I think one of the only things that excites me about the Islanders, because they are just a dearth of dirty nonsense in the hockey world, but that's a story for another time. What excites me is him and Bo Horvat playing together. They played on the same line for 2 games, I think, after that trade happened last year.
Yeah,
I think they can be a really good line together. Barzal feeding the puck to Horvat, he has a great shot. So I think that's a line to look out for. And like you said, yes, Ilya Sorokin is, I don't think unfair to say, top 3 goalie in the league.
Yeah, top 3, top 4, top 5. You could make a case for any of those for sure. But yeah,
he
he's
will
a problem.
drag this team to relevance, much to my disliking.
Yeah, truth be told, dude, I love the Sabres in this matchup. I think our speed is not a thing this team is going to be able to hang with, truly.
It's a trap game for me. I think it could be an issue. I think they play a very grinding,
they do
slow the game down style that Buffalo needs to find a way to overcome or shift their game plan to play into it.
Yeah.
Adam Pelech is a great defenseman. He however many minutes he played last year, no mistakes. He plays mistake-free hockey, and is just really sound defensively. So he scares me for sure. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a way to find a way to break past their stifling style.
Yeah.
Is the key there.
Yeah. Well, I think the only way to do that is speed, and don't be afraid to get a little bit nasty in the corners, dude. Um, and then we'll do one more quick little touch on. Um, we have, oh god, I just lost it. Lightning. Lightning is the
Yep.
third game of the season. Boy, that's a bit of a tricky opening stretch there. Tuesday the 17th against the Lightning. They're a team that, for me, dude, they're starting to look at the decline. Are they not?
I think yes. It's don't bet against the Lightning is my mantra, but I think
Yeah.
they've been so competitive for so many years that the cracks are starting to show. And what I love about them being early in the schedule for at least one of these matchups is Vasilevsky going down for surgery a
Yep.
couple weeks before the season. So they're starting a backup goalie, and I think that yeah, it's a you got to win that game in my eyes. That's a divisional opponent without their starting goalie, who is the best goalie in the league. You gotta come away with the win there.
Now, Jake, here's a name for you. One of the goalies on this Lightning squad right now, Jonas Johansson. You think there's any chance that they let him suit up against the Sabres that night?
Could be. Who's the other goalie on that team?
Well, they got three on here right now. So just real quick, Jonas Johansson was a goalie that was in the Sabres system for a little while and sucked real bad. So we got rid of him. Yeah, now he finds himself with the Lightning. Two more names, Jake, that I genuinely, if you lined up four guys, I wouldn't be able to tell you these two guys. Matt Tompkins, Evan Fitzpatrick. Two names I've never heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here.
So I don't even have.
It could be.
And now maybe it doesn't even matter because Zach Bogosian, Victor Hedman, Eric Cernak, Mikhail Sergachev, that's also a disgusting top four, dude. That's a defensive core that is a little bit older, right? You got Bogosian, 33. You got Hedman, 32. Calvin DeHaan, 32. But you still have Sergachev, that's 25. A bunch of young guys there. Sergachev, I was pounding the table to draft him that year. That was the same year we drafted Alex Nylander, and I flipped a lid because I wanted Sergachev.
I did too. You weren't alone.
No, but and then obviously, dude, I mean, you still got some real nasty forwards you got to think about. Nikita Kucherov, Steven Stamkos, Braden Point. This team
Kucherov is a guy for me. Like there's like 15, 20 games in a season where he just does whatever he wants. Everything happens for him, and it's hard to predict when that will be. But if he's on, there might be no one harder to stop in the league other than non-humans like McDavid. You know what I mean? Like he just takes over the game.
Outside of those three guys, though, dude, at least as far as the forwards are concerned, the star power names on this team have definitely lessened.
Yeah, for me, it's Kucherov, Point, and Stamkos, but he again is kind of towards he's declining. It's tough to say for a guy like Steven Stamkos' abilities, but he's on the back nine for sure.
He still shoots the puck like a son of a bitch, though.
One of the best snapshots and slapshots in the league, 100%.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the first couple of games there. We should have another episode before we get to some more games there. So we'll stop right there. Let's get into some bold predictions here. Tom, I missed the sound of your voice. You want to start?
I would love to. Should we start with player specific or team specific?
Should we each do a team specific and then we'll start at the list again and do the player specific?
Let's do it. All right. So, my first bold prediction of the 2023-2024 season is that the Buffalo Sabres as a whole have a strong first third of the season, come out hot, waver a bit in the middle. They have to go find themselves. They're going on a little bit of an odyssey. But they come back together. They put it back and for the last third, propel their way to the playoffs, breaking the playoff drought, and Sabres make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, buddy. Love that, Tom. Yeah, it's about time that we get to those playoffs, huh, boys?
You know how superstitious I am. I'm not going to jinx it in a public forum.
Yeah, I know. All right, Jake, what do you got there for your team goal?
So my team bold prediction is as bold as they come. I'm predicting that the Sabres do not finish in the bottom half of the league on the penalty kill. And given how they've performed on the penalty kill for the last 400 years, I think that's pretty goddamn bold.
Yeah, it is, to
They
say the
were
least.
they were 28th last year, 73% on the penalty kill. I'm hoping that improves. We re-signed Zemgus Girgensons, one of our more prominent penalty killing forwards. We brought in Eric Johnson, who has through his career been a good penalty killer, particularly for the Avalanche during their juggernaut cup runs. So I'm hoping some of that can rub off. I'm hoping some of our higher end skill guys will contribute on the penalty kill and play those minutes. Try to get the puck into the other zone with some skill guys. Not I love you, Z, but not just Semgus Girgensons carrying the puck down the ice.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
What's yours, Notch?
All right, well, you said yours was bold, and I think mine makes yours look like a freaking fairy tale. That didn't make sense, but whatever. I am predicting that the Sabres don't don't just finish as a playoff team. I am predicting in my super bold predictions that they finish as a top 3 team in the Atlantic. I think they're going to find themselves defensively. I think you're going to see Devin Levi just. I don't know, man. I know he's looked a little bit rocky in these last few preseason games. I think this kid's just got all the tools and mental components to be an absolutely elite goaltender. I think they're gonna make the playoffs as a top 3 team in the Atlantic.
I love it. He looks. I know you can't trust goalies, but he just looks different. You can't put your finger on it. There's no stat you can point to.
I trust
he
him
just
with my
looks
life.
the part.
I trust him with my life at this point. Yep.
Me too. All right, Notch, carry on. What? Let's switch to the player side.
Switch to the players, and I'll bring us right back down.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about him a little bit earlier, folks. Rasmus Dahlin, he signed that big ticket. I'm going to predict that in an effort to prove he deserves every dime of that big ticket, that pick ticket, he is going to finish top 2 in the Norris voting at the end of the season. Norris voting being based solely on the regular season and votes on who is the best defenseman in the league during the regular season. I think
So who wins it?
I think. Oh, then who wins it? Oh man!
I figure he didn't win it if you said top 2. Otherwise, you'd say he won.
Well, there's a possibility he does, of course, right? But I think if it's not him,
Nigel's hedging his bet a little bit. I think you should go say he wins it.
No. I'm not ready to bet.
I think you have to change. No. I think you should call your shot now.
Rasmus Dahlin wins the Norris Trophy.
Ah, we got him.
I'll change that in the planning doc right now.
I grew up with chickens, but I've never heard a more realistic chicken sound.
That's pretty good.
All right, Jake, on to you. Your single player.
We're here for the boldest of bold.
My single player. So we're focusing on JJ Peterka. I'm predicting he has 20-plus goal season, and I'm going to change it right now. I'm saying 60-plus points.
Woo!
So last year he had 12 goals, 20 assists. Tom, how many points is that?
32.
Nice, Tom. Well done.
This should be a segment. You should make Tom do point math all year. That's what we should do.
Oh my god,
I'm into it. So JJ Peterka went over to the World Championships after the season ended last year. Played great. I think he won. I think he was forward of the tournament.
He was
for Team Germany. So I'm basing this based off of Dylan Cousins, the offseason prior. Went over, had a great tournament, and came back to Buffalo last year and broke out. Had an incredible year. I'm predicting the same thing to happen for JJ Peterka. He'll come back and look a lot more comfortable as an NHL player, and the points will follow.
I like that one. All right, Tom.
My final one is that Sir Devin Levi finishes the season within the top 10 of the league in save percentage, mostly because he taps into his Jedi training and establishes a connection with the Force.
My goodness gracious.
I think
so
that's
Tom,
I'm calling for it.
Will that or will that not involve floating above the crease?
It absolutely could. It could involve mind control, getting other players to score against their own goalie. It could involve some backflips. It can involve anything you might see on any of the very popular Star Wars series and movies.
Real quick, I've got live breaking news here. Bills are signing Josh Norman to the practice squad. So
I'm not thrilled at all.
me neither.
Might as well go on to the geriatric, gone and.
Jake, you think you could suit up
Why?
at cornerback this season?
Oh my
Pretty
god!
tall.
We signed him 2 or 3 years ago, and we thought he was old then.
I thought he was still on the moon when Derrick Henry sent him there on that stiff arm, dude.
Oh my god, Brandon Bean!
I didn't realize he
better.
came back down from the moon, dude. Welcome back, Josh Norman.
Well, I guess we have to fill Jamarcus Ingram's spot on the practice spots.
Sure do.
Practice squad, so we have to put somebody there. But
yep.
Huh.
All right, Tom. Well, you want to take us out of here, buddy?
Yeah, on that note, let's close this out before any other breaking news, please. Okay? All right, folks. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out with us and sticking it through. Go see some Buffalo sports this weekend. Bills v Giants Sunday, October 15th at 8:20 p.m. On the broadcast, look for 2 drunk doofuses in the crowd. Nigel and I will be there.
We will be the drunk doofuses.
Then the Sabres are playing their first 3 games of this season, so you got to tune in. Thursday night opener at home versus the Rangers, October 12th at 7 p.m. Then they take on the Islanders on Saturday, October 14th at 7:30 p.m. And then they take on the Lightning on Tuesday, October 17th at 7:30 p.m. So please tune in, root for the boys. Let's go Buffalo. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for spending some time with us. It would mean a lot to us if you would please share this episode, give us a like, give us a follow, go play it for your grandma. I don't really care. It's like this. Let's share this. We have some cool things going on. We'd love to have you guys along for the season. Please follow us on Instagram and X at Let's Go Buff Pod. That's 2 F's. These are my pals, Jake. That's Nigel. My name is Tom, and you're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast. We're sending you love wherever you are. Go Bills, go Sabres. Let's go Buffalo.